That's surprising, Karen.
But I heard you got a little freaked out when Jared Leto came on set.
Yeah, well, Jared never broke character, so whenever I met him, I would go up to him and say, "Hi, I'm Karen Fukuhara, I play Katana," and then he would come up and give me the Joker laugh, and then just go about
Did
his
he
day.
literally, he never broke character?
Never broke character.
Oh,
wow.
I met Jared Leto for the first time about 3 weeks ago. We worked together for 6 months. We literally never exchanged a word that wasn't between action and cut. I never.
That's impressive.
We didn't say, "Hey, how you doing?
intense.
Nice to meet you." Except he sent me a pig. He sent me a pig once. Yeah. He sent me a pig, yeah.
He sent you a pig, like an actual pig.
An actual pig. Yeah.
What did you do with the
A dead
pig?
pig, of course.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you ate it?
We sent
okay.
it back. Yeah. Yeah, he went full Joker. He went full Joker.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 37 of the Pseudo Nerd Podcast for September 16th, 2016. I'm your podcast host, Josh Kiser, and joining me in Midway City, Mr. Josh Haddix.
What's going on, everybody?
And Mr. Kyle, Killer Croc Hoagland.
What's going on, everybody? Where is Midway City in the world of DC, anyways?
It's about midway.
I think I looked. I think it's
if it's literally between, like perfectly in between Metropolis and Gotham, then high five to you there, Haddix.
Well, for what it's worth, if you're referring to the current DC movie universe, lore or what's the canon, between those two would be the river or the bay. So I don't think it's there.
So you're saying it's decently far away from everything else?
Correct. At least in the Marvel DC movie universe, excuse me. It is believed to be loosely based on Chicago in the comics. So, take that for what it is, but.
Yeah, fair enough.
But coming up in today's podcast, we will be discussing Suicide Squad and reviewing the movie as a whole, what we thought, what we didn't, and, our thoughts on the characters and everything else with the movie. But,
also known as Captain Boomerang, the love story. That's how I like to envision the actual name of the movie.
You are quite the visionary, Mr. Hoagland.
I am. Best character, by far, in that movie.
Was who?
So, huh?
So go on. Continue. Sorry.
So, let me ask you this: have you guys ever seen or heard of an albino alligator?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, like they're pretty rare. I'm guessing, like they're like a 1 in like a 10,000 probably thing where they're like an albino alligator will show up.
I mean, I don't know what the stats are, and in fact how rare, but yes, it is a rarer thing.
So. My wife is not here today. She's usually downstairs watching TV or something. She's out for the day. She is in San Francisco celebrating Claude, the albino alligator's 21st birthday bash. That is at the California Academy of Sciences. I guess there's like drinks and the DJ and shit like that, and she's going to be there all night. I'm not sure. I'm hoping they send pictures because I'm very curious as to what kind of gala event this particular event is. But
it doesn't.
Have you guys ever gone to things like this? Like I've never even heard of things like this as being like hey, we're gonna actually hire like entertainment for this type of stuff.
I mean, I know that like zoos and stuff will put special events on for things like that. This sounds like a crock of shit, if you ask me, right?
It's a killer crock of shit. Shut the fuck up, Haddix.
That was just bad on both of your parts.
Well, that should be the name of our podcast. Bad on all of our parts.
It should be called Killer Croc of Shit. Today on the Killer Croc of Shit podcast, it's got a good ring to it.
And we've only been doing this podcast for like maybe, it's been 9.5 months now.
So if you got pregnant listening to our first episode, welcoming in the birth of your child today, congratulations.
Yeah, this is about the time where we're getting the first PNP babies.
I hope maybe they name their first their PNP baby Billy after Billy Smart.
After Billy. Get all your shopping needs.
Or after Shannon, our super fan, if it's a girl.
Yeah. And to answer your question, a quick Google search, and I don't know, you take it for what it is. The white alligator, out of 5 million American alligators, there's thought to only be 12 of the leucistic gators, which I guess must be the technical term for it.
Out of 5 million?
No, yes, out of 5 million, correct.
Zillion, I believe it was. So it's even more rare than I even thought.
So it's 1 in every 417,000?
Is that just math out of your ass?
I was gonna say, if you pull that out, I'm gonna take your word for that.
Yeah, I mean, quick numbers, guys. Quick numbers.
Also, interestingly enough, there was a movie, Albino Alligator, which is a 1997 American crime thriller, which was Kevin Spacey's directorial debut. So, little fun
and
fact
Kevin
for everybody.
Spacey played Lex Luthor in Superman Returns.
Which brings us back to the DC universe.
Boom. There you go.
And
look at that high five of a fucking segue.
Even though we were talking about alligators, we could literally go back to Killer Croc and enter in as he is one of the characters of the Suicide Squad.
But we go against the grain here.
Exactly.
We sure do. And who else goes against the grain are the Suicide Squad and what the thought of heroes are to them, right?
Oh, do tell. Tell us more, Kiser.
So the quick premise of obviously the Suicide Squad is a band of villains that have been grouped together by the government. They've implanted chips inside of them that could blow up at any minute if they try to, escape or go against the plan. And these villainous beings, of course, will join together in camaraderie and help save the planet in the most unexpected ways.
Except for Slipknot, because he believed that there was no chip in his neck. R.I.P. Slipknot.
R.I.P. brother.
We'll get to Slipknot in a minute. But before we do, how about a quick thoughts, guys? What are your quick thought opinion on the movie itself?
I enjoyed it for what it was. It was slightly different than kind of all these superhero movies that are coming out because they had the villains in there, so you could kind of throw in some no-named villains that maybe some people haven't heard of, kind of get them involved without actually having them in one of the big blockbusters like a, Batman or Superman movie. So I enjoyed it.
And I'm also kind of on that same side. I'm such like an everyman moviegoer, so I don't really pay too much attention to the nuances of things until I kind of I'll go after the movie, after I've already decided whether or not I like the movie or not. I then will do my research on little things like what was good about it, what was bad about it, according to people that are way smarter than us and know more about the universe than we probably do. I felt like I had more questions and answers after it, but it was okay. It's in the same ballpark as the rest of the DC movies, as far as I'm concerned.
For me, I actually thought it was kind of like a breath of fresh air in some ways in comparison to what DC has been doing with Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. It was a different take. It's not going to be my favorite movie. I don't know if I'm going to go rewatch it anytime soon, but I thought it was okay. It's a flawed movie, but definitely I think they took a step in the direction that they need to for some of these one-off movies that are, not necessarily, while they're part of the universe, they're not really going to be part of the main overlying storyline.
So let me ask you this both you guys this real quick, because I know that we were trying to figure out what we were going to talk about this month, since this is the odd month, and we were going to do our monthly discussion. When we decided that we were going to do the DC, kind of pulling back the curtain right now, when did you guys actually watch Suicide Squad? I saw it the second week it came out. I know, Kiser, you had not seen it yet.
I watched it Saturday.
So you saw it Saturday.
A few days ago.
I saw it roughly when it came out. If it wasn't the weekend it came out, it was the next weekend.
Okay. I ask is was it pretty packed, Haddix, when you went to go see it?
I mean, yeah, it was a full theater.
Kiser?
I saw it from my couch, so
very packed.
there was tons of people.
Wait. You saw, did you what, illegally? Let's get it out there now.
I'm not gonna confirm or deny anything on here. Harvey Dent, my lawyer, says I should just not speak on these things.
All right. We'll move on. We'll move on from it. I just want to know how fresh this movie was, because I assumed Haddix saw it quite a few weeks ago. I saw it, I think, the Sunday that it came out, and so it's probably much more fresh in Kiser's memory right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start by talking about some of the characters, our thoughts on them. We're not going to hit all of them. Obviously, Suicide Squad kind of has a big cast of characters, all with, at least in the comics, they all have their own personality. I think here they try to, but a lot of them kind of get lost in the shuffle. And we'll start with, quote unquote, the headliner of the movie, Deadshot, who was played by Will Smith. And I think he is the headliner of the movie because he is played by Will Smith. Haddix, I'll start with you. Because you are both the DC fan and the Will Smith fan. So what were your thoughts on Deadshot?
First off, who's not a Will Smith fan? Am I right, guys? Am I right?
It's hard not to hate. It's hard not to like. I don't know. It's hard not to hate.
It's hard to speak, apparently.
Yeah, apparently.
Seriously.
It's hard to hate Will Smith.
Yes. So here's the thing. The kind of the main Suicide Squad comic book story, Deadshot is kind of the main character, at least the main character on the bad guy side. They didn't pull a whole lot from that because Batman is a lot more relevant in that as well, as is the Joker. But so I was okay with Deadshot being kind of the main focus, but it was, and I'm sure you guys will agree, and I think I've talked with both of you separately about this, he was Will Smith. That was basically Will Smith. I mean, and I know that sounds dumb because he was the actor, but...
No, it makes sense. In every movie he's in, I feel like it's Will Smith playing Will Smith as an assassin or as a guy who fights aliens, but
I'll say this. I think this is the first time we've seen Will Smith, the character from Men in Black, Independence Day, Fresh Prince. I think the Bad Boys. I think it's the first time you've seen him since Men in Black 3 or something like that. He's made a lot more serious roles, kind of these things like that. This is action movie Will Smith. This is comedy Will Smith. So
this is late 90s Will Smith.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the Will Smith you love. This is so from that aspect, the nostalgia, it's okay, that's great, but that's not. That's Will Smith. I mean, he didn't have to even play Deadshot. He could have played Will Smith at that point. He could have been Agent J, it would have been the same thing.
And I didn't hate it. I didn't hate him in the role. I just thought that it was...
No, I didn't either.
Will
I think
Smith.
that's the weird thing. I think that's why we didn't hate him, is because we know him as Will Smith, but if it was anybody else playing themselves, let's I don't know if he's playing more of a mainstream villain or somebody more, and he played himself like that, he would have been trash for it. But because it was just Will Smith playing a guy that people don't know too much about, it's acceptable.
Let's say if he was like Harvey Dent or something like that, and he played it like he played that role, people would have hated it. If he was just
exactly.
Will Smith's personality is not going to mesh at all with Harvey Dent.
And I think Will Smith's a great actor too. And again, I didn't hate his performance. It just, I felt like I was watching Will Smith, not Deadshot. So,
and you would, and the thing I liked about, or I guess I liked it because Will Smith's going to be your automatic. He's going to give you what we expect to get from him. But all the previews and all the trailers and teasers, I know he was in the movie, but he really wasn't. It didn't seem like they really showcased Harley Quinn a lot. They showcased the Joker a lot. And I felt oh, hey, look, there's Will Smith. And then, but the movie itself definitely focused a lot on Deadshot and his story. But I felt before you went to go see the movie, it seemed like he was going to take a back seat even to Harley Quinn and the Joker story, which in the actual movie, yeah, it's kind of important, but yeah, Will Smith definitely is the lead in the movie.
Yeah, so I guess they bill him that way, but to me, if you had the choice, because Independence Day 2 came out this summer, and I actually have not seen it yet, so I can't speak on the movie itself, but if you had the choice, one of the reasons he turned down playing that role is because he was filming Suicide Squad. Would you have rather had him play Deadshot or him reprise his role as Colonel, General, whatever his name is now, in Independence Day 2, because he was playing the same character, basically. You're just seeing it as Deadshot instead of the guy he had already played. Well,
I think I speak for Haddix when I say if you took Will Smith out of Suicide Squad and put somebody else in that could still still play as Deadshot decently, and you put Will Smith back into Resurgence, then we all would have probably seen both movies. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. That's a great point. I agree.
The only good thing about it is Will Smith is a mainstream actor that does bring some type of credibility to the movie. Not that it needed it.
Hey, Ben Affleck was in the movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, so.
But he's not advertised in the movie really either.
Yeah, and Margot Robbie is a known
budding
actress.
Yeah.
So I mean, there was other people as well.
And
but
Jared Leto's an Oscar winner.
Yeah, I'm just saying it brings a little bit of credibility to the whole DC universe type thing. So
absolutely.
But no, I agree.
And I'm sure that was part of it. So speaking of Margot Robbie, she plays Harley Quinn, arguably the other big, both actress and as well as like the big character in this. Obviously the horny fanboys were well taken care of with her character, as she's both hot and I didn't want to specify. But what did you guys think? Did you enjoy her character or not? Because I could see both sides to this one.
Well, me personally, I think us three and maybe even our generation, when you think Harley Quinn, you think of the cartoon. You think of like that kind of ditzy,
that
accent.
Batman. Yep, sure.
And so I didn't think that they were going to be able to do that perfectly, but I thought maybe they'd try to do something. It wasn't that, but I actually think she was my favorite part of the movie, and not just because she's hot and all that. I think she did a very, very, very good job at being kind of dumb and aloof, and then switching it to crazy, and then switching it to like a real I don't know why my favorite scene was when they're in the bar, like getting that drink, and she like yells at I think Diablo to like own the shit that he did, and she gets like real serious for a second, and it's like really emotional, and then all of a sudden she's just like real just thing again. Like she did a very good job at almost being crazy. It was really good.
Her personality of Harley Quinn was awesome. Like she played that to a T. I think that was really well done. I'm not against the sexy side of it. I just wasn't. I mean, I was expecting it after seeing all the trailers and such. I'm just not used to it. Once again, children's cartoon. What are you going to do? But it always just seemed like, even in some of the comics, and I think Haddix, you could probably speak a little bit better. But how much of I guess a sex symbol is Harley Quinn in the comics? Because I know in the cartoon she was more or less the the kooky kind of, once again.
She's not going to be a sex symbol in a kid's cartoon.
No, sure, but I mean that they really pushed it where she was definitely wearing tight shorts and putting on her shirt the way she was. Just everything about her was very sexy. And yes, it's going to put butts in seats and and sell tickets. But I'm not against it. It's just something that if I had not seen any trailer and said, "Oh, Harley Quinn's in this movie," I guess I wouldn't expect, that much provocativeness.
Well, she is more in the comics. She's probably closer to the movie than the cartoon.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like more, and even over the last 10 years or so, they've kind of she's become more sexualized even in that aspect of it.
For a while, the storyline was that her and Poison Ivy were together.
Right.
So
exactly.
I mean, she's definitely more sexualized in the comics. Maybe not to the point where every panel is her bending over. It's not like It's not porn. Wait for it. Ography. Right, guys?
Go on.
Nice. Yeah.
But it's definitely more scandalous and sexy than the cartoon.
Agreed. We'll kind of move on here to probably the sexiest and most scandalous of them all, and that it's Amanda Waller in this, played by Viola Davis, maybe is her last name.
Viola Davis, yeah.
From Making a Murderer.
How to Get Away with Murder.
How to Get Away with Murder. Yeah, something like that.
Making a Murderer is on.
Making a Murder is the Netflix. Not that one, but you know what I mean. I personally thought she nailed it. She may have been the best cast character in all of the movie, and arguably maybe all of DC's casting so far. I think she was just phenomenal in that role, and I hope that she has a bigger role going forward.
Oh, I think she's going to have a huge role going forward, and I agree. I still think Henry Cavill, or however the hell you say his last name, is probably the best cast so far. But
I enjoyed him, but I think I'll say this: he could play a better role. I think they wrote her character well too.
Yes,
which is something that maybe they haven't done well with Superman.
Some people were complaining that she, like in the comics and stuff, she's like a real fat, and that's kind of how she's always portrayed. Except for I know she's not portrayed like that in Arrow.
I was gonna say, in Arrow she wasn't either.
Yeah. So some people were complaining about that, but literally I thought it was perfect. I thought when they first casted her, I knew she was going to do well. Like, she's just got that attitude about her, and that how they wrote her in, like when she killed all those agents that were working.
Kills them off.
She's just brutal. Yeah, I agree.
Cold-blooded.
They casted very well with that.
Other than Adam Beach, who played Slipknot, Viola Davis, was awesome. Her my whole thing with her, she was my favorite character overall, because of, I don't know so much about her, probably so you guys do. I just like the fact that I went from thinking that she was part of the solution to then being a bad person to then being a good person. Like, she really played that character really well, where she means well and she's meaning to, save the world, but she's ruthless about getting the job done. And she'll kill anybody. She will torture anybody. She'll do whatever needs to happen, to reach that objective. So there's a heroic, but also a very sinister side of her. And Viola did a really good job of that.
Mr. Sinister is Marvel, dude. Sorry.
I was going to make a Sinister 6 comment, so well done there. Moving on, Hougie, I think you wanted to bring this one up. Another one of the Suicide Squad's main players, El Diablo. I think it was you that you want to touch base on this one, or was it Haddix?
That was Hougie.
I mean, it wasn't much to it. I just want to make sure that we talked about it, because I actually think that he was the most interesting character as far as the actual members of the Suicide Squad. I'm glad that they told his story, because I think he's questionably the most powerful, or spoiler alert, by the way, was the most powerful, I think, overall member of the Suicide Squad, just because he's literally cursed with basically a voodoo devil or whatever in him, he's some sort of demon-like entity or whatever the hell is in him, and it was just cool to see a guy to see his story about how he didn't want to hurt anybody anymore because he's kind of paying penance for accidentally killing his family with his powers. Or at least that's what's assumed, that it's what he did. He was, in some anger. Yeah, he outlashed in some way, shape, or form, burned down the house, killed his kids, killed his wife. But he was he's a gang member, but he never seemed like a bad guy even when he was a gang member. It was almost like he was, being a bad guy out there, but he was home. He loved his family. He was doing all of it because he was, making sure that the rest of his family didn't have to do anything else. The mother, I don't think, had to work, and the kids were happy. So he was using his powers to make a better life for his family that he accidentally killed. And, for pretty much more than half the movie, he didn't do anything because he basically refused to. He was being very, being like a pacifist about everything. And then he finally actually starts doing his job, and, then he sacrifices himself at the end of the movie.
He becomes La on Hell, right?
La on. Oh yeah, it is. I guess it is Law, isn't it? Yeah, okay.
I don't know. You could ask Haddix.
I don't know why to think about that, Los Angeles. But anyways, I just wanted to make sure that we had brought him up because I think that in a movie that's kind of muddled with the plot itself, I think that was one of the very few moments where the character building of a character was really good, and then they killed him.
I also think when I said this movie shouldn't have been Will Smith starred in it, Deadshot became like Deadshot and Harley Quinn sort of became the main characters. I really thought El Diablo, if Will Smith did not play Deadshot and it was played by, I don't know who, insert anybody else.
Kevin
That's
Hart.
not okay. Yeah, Kevin Hart. Fine. I think this becomes more centered around El Diablo, and I think it could have been, the story could have been slightly better written that way, but it is what it is. But we kind of took a lot of time there. We got one more character that we really need to discuss, and that's obviously the Joker. He's not really part of the Suicide Squad. He's in the movie. His sort of mission is this whole side story where he's trying to keep getting back Harley Quinn. This is played by Jared Leto, method actor to the extreme. You know, pictures came out, stills of him looking like this emo kind of punk, like dyed hair, tattoos on the face, looked like a tormented, angsty teenager. And then, you know, people weren't sure what to expect. You saw some clips, you still weren't sure what to expect. I gotta be honest, 20 seconds into his character and I was annoyed. He just annoyed me. He irritated the shit out of me. I couldn't stand him. Other than the laugh, I enjoyed his laugh. I think everything else about him just was absolutely trash.
It's weird because in the beginning, the first few scenes he's in, I didn't like it. It kind of made me cringe. But there were some moments. There was a couple scenes later where I actually liked it. When he toned it down a little bit, where I really enjoyed it. So I kind of hope that's the Joker we see going forward. Let me ask you guys this: if he was acted the exact same, but looked more like the Joker that we know, do you think it would have been slightly better? Do you think the look throws it off a little bit?
No, I didn't mind the look during the movie. The stills obviously were irritating, but the look didn't throw me off in the movie at all. I was fine with it. I honestly could not stand. I didn't even like listening to him talk. I thought he was trying way too hard to be like out there, and it just came off way over the top.
He went in between the kooky Joker and the methodical psychopath Joker, and he wasn't hitting either side of it.
Yes,
the way
I agree with that.
I remember it. So like you either had the Mark Hamill side of it where he's just much more like, I wouldn't say goofy, but you know what I mean, like more just comedic, and and then you have Heath Ledger's, which is very, very dark, very hardly at all silly in any way, shape, or form. It was definitely more of the fearful side of who the Joker was. And then you had Jared Leto, who I respect somebody, especially his mother, once again, method actor to the extreme, like you said, trying to create his own, I guess, his own way of portraying the Joker. So I admire him trying.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, but I feel like what he was just trying to do was, all right, I want to be this, but not too much this, because then people are going to think that I'm being Mark Hamill. And I want to be like this, but I don't want to go too much this, because then people think I'm just another Heath Ledger knockoff. And so instead what he did was he kind of was just very lukewarm in both sides of that spectrum.
Do you think that Heath Ledger has ruined the Joker character? And I mean that he played it phenomenally. It was so enjoyable, but now he's put it at such a position that people have to. He was such a method actor in his own right, and very well arguably could have been part of the reason he's dead now. And Leto's a lot like that too. Do you think he put it in such a position now that like people are like, oh, I gotta top that, and they're trying. Like Leto tried so hard to be this, and honestly, I think they could replace him with somebody else. And then I feel like somebody can just like go back and like make it your own and don't worry about anything else and don't try to make it so out there. Like, don't try to top it. Just do your own thing with it.
But then if you don't do that, if you don't have somebody that's going to try, because Joker is very much I think that screams out you kind of need a method actor to play that role correctly. Not saying that he, once again, I do believe maybe it has a little bit to do with Heath Ledger and Rooney, but really, if you think about that, that's a long time ago now when that movie came out. I mean, it's not like, I'm sure a lot of us still remember, obviously, Heath Ledger's, portrayal of the Joker, but I think it's been long enough that whoever's going to play the Joker again can do it however they want. I don't think they should worry about, like I said, I don't think when Heath Ledger was doing it, I don't think he was, and once again, that's probably at least another extra 5 years add on top of it. I don't think he was worried about how Jack Nicholson played Joker and didn't want to, step on toes because of the way he portrayed it. He was going to do it the way he wanted to do it. I think Jared Leto tried to do it the way he wanted to do it. And I do agree that maybe it's ruined a little bit just because of how memorable Heath Ledger's Joker is, and that's he's only done it once, and that's going to go down as probably the most iconic Joker of all time, which speaks a lot to Heath Ledger. But in the end, I wasn't against Jared Leto. I think it was just a lukewarm performance. It wasn't something that I was going to really hold on to or pay much attention or put the feet to the fire about why I liked or didn't like the movie.
Well, let me ask you this real quick before we move on. This both of you. There was talks at one point, Margot Robbie and Jared Leto wanted to have a Harley Quinn Joker spin-off movie. Now it sounds like Harley Quinn's going to have her own spin-off movie. That was just an article that came out today. I don't know if you guys even saw that or not.
Yeah, she's going to co-produce it or direct it or something like that.
Which doesn't sound like he's going to be in it. But would you like to see this Joker in other movies, specifically in a movie with Ben Affleck's Batman?
Yes. Well, we just saw him in a movie with Ben Affleck's Batman.
Not really.
Literally, we did. Yes, I do. I agree with Haddix. I don't think there was enough time. That was more of like maybe more of a teaser taste of Jared Leto's Joker, and you can take it or leave it how it is. But that wasn't what the movie was about. It wasn't.
I don't even know if he should have been in the movie. Because it was just
he didn't need to be. I'm sure that was not. It didn't need to. I think it would have been cool if at the very end he like you didn't see the Joker at all until he breaks Harley Quinn out at the very end, and then it teases like, oh, their own movie coming up.
Right? Yeah, I actually would have been okay with that. I thought because honestly, I think a good movie for those two would be one that does their whole backstory and really shows the kind of abusive relationship they have and the way Joker's like manipulated her and things like that. But what bothers me most, and this is even Leto's character said, I don't know the dynamic with Leto and Affleck, like if it would fit, if Affleck's Batman and Leto's Joker would like work well together. Is that just me?
No, I know what you're saying. For some reason I didn't get that, and maybe it's because you don't really see it a lot. Other than when he was on top of the car, I don't even think they talked to each other.
No, they didn't. I'm just picturing his Joker in this movie and Affleck's Batman from Batman vs Superman, and I feel like Affleck's this grizzled, older, like been doing it for 20 years, too old for this shit kind of guy, and Leto's seems like he's more the Joker's only been around for 3 or 4 years, causing mayhem. I'm so crazy, crazy thing.
I think for them to be in a movie and for it to be successful, the writing will have to be very good. And I think that's doable. I think they can draw from enough storylines between Batman and Joker over the years that they could write a good movie for them too. And I think if they do that, I have no worries about it.
Fair enough.
I'm kind of the same way. I'm definitely like a wait and see. I'm gonna see when they come out with a Batman movie with Ben Affleck, or if they do the Joker Harley Quinn movie or whatever the heck they're gonna do. I mean, I'm still gonna go see it, and then we'll see it is. Jared Leto has not caused me to not give DC my money yet.
No, it's not that, and I mean he'll be in a movie. I'll go watch it, but I'm not thrilled about his character.
So which one were you more disappointed in? the Lex Luthor portrayal or the Joker portrayal?
Oh, Joker by far. I actually sort of liked Lex's character. It grew on me. It's not my favorite portrayal of Lex, but I think it'll work for this. Leto's by above and beyond the word. I don't think there's anybody that I've hated. Maybe the only thing worse might be the Mandarin.
Oh God. Yeah.
From Iron Man 3, and that's just because of the twist they did with it. Other than that, I don't know if I think there's a worse casting that I've seen yet. I can't stand it. So I've told you what I don't like about this movie. What is it about this movie that you guys don't like that maybe we haven't discussed yet?
Hougie, you got anything?
What, you don't have anything? I do. I mean, it's the same song and dance of the rest of the DC movies. I'm once again going back to comparing like the Marvel movies to the DC movies. The Marvel movies create the much more rich character, interest, and they invest more in writing for the characters instead of really the story. The story comes with it, where I think DC goes the other way around, saying, hey, we're going to create a good story with already familiar characters. And like I think Haddix said last week, I don't care to see another Batman origin or a Superman origin. We've already seen, we already saw the Superman origin in another movie. So that's part of this arc. So for that I understand. And maybe for the Marvel side, maybe that was more needed because even though a lot of those characters are memorable, these are a lot of characters that haven't had their own movies either ever or in a long time. And so you need to create a backstory for those characters. The plots everywhere as far as Suicide Squad. I always felt like DC would make really good, like, TV shows where there were episodes where they could take their time with the writing and create, like, if they somehow were able to get away with having a Suicide Squad being like a 4-hour long movie, then I think that they actually could do a really good job at it, but that wouldn't be acceptable in a movie theater. No one's going to sit for 4 hours unless you're watching Gettysburg. But I think the 1.5 to 2 hour time period that they have to make a movie just seems really hurried for what I think they're trying to do. And because of that, everything kind of suffers a little bit. The casting, I think we already said the casting, I think was done pretty well. Jared Leto, I agree, kind of up in the air for me, but not too much for me to really care too much about it. I think it's barely better than Batman versus Superman, though.
Oh, you liked it better than Batman vs. Superman? I
think it was a better overall movie experience. Batman vs. Superman was just a total, what the fuck is going on? That's the only thing I
Have you watched the uncut, like, director's cut version?
I have not. Is it a lot better?
It's so much better. It explains so much.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, if they don't have those, if you add an extra half hour to things and you don't have to cut things away, then I think that the movie can be very good. But then when things get hurried and say, okay, we got to get this down to, 100 minutes or 110 minutes or whatever the hell it was, then things are going to suffer because I think they just have all these really good ideas and they shoot for all of it. And then when they finally make the movie, they're like, oh shit, we're over 40 minutes. Well, we got to cut, we'll keep everything. We're just going to have to shorten everything. And that's the problem, is that I feel like there could have been more in every scene, but it kind of ends a little bit quicker than you wanted it to, which I'm okay with that more than in Batman versus Superman, where it just felt like nothing's happening, doomsday. What the fuck just happened? Like, that's all I felt in that whole movie.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you that with Batman vs. Superman. I thought this plot was actually not that complicated. I thought they did okay with it. I agree that it maybe could have been better for sure. But for introducing 8 or 10 characters and kind of rushing through things, I thought it wasn't. I didn't, walk out of the movie theater, and by that I mean my couch, and say like, man, why did this happen? Why did that happen? Which you definitely did leaving Batman vs. Superman.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Kiser. I thought this was by far the most like a Marvel movie that DC's done. Very straightforward plot. There was no twist, really. I mean, I guess the only twist was El Diablo at the end, actually. Yeah. But I mean, other than that, I mean, it was very straightforward. I mean, you knew they were going to, You knew they were going to beat the bad guy. You know, there was no crazy.
They were
twist.
the bad guys, man.
Oh, jeez. No. But yeah.
Do you guys think that this actually could have been like, or this was like their attempt at doing like a darker Guardians of the Galaxy type of idea where it's more of like
I think absolutely, yeah. I think
like
they wanted to make a fun movie.
Side story.
I mean, look, before you say anything, Haddix, I just jump on this point because I wanted to make it at some point anyways, and it fits right here. Guardians of the Galaxy, what is one of the first things that stands out to you about Guardians of the Galaxy?
It was funny.
So funny. Humor's one. You get Chris Pratt, who's known for his humor as in the main role. Here you get Will Smith, known for his humor in the main role. The other big thing, the soundtrack. It is different than all the other Marvel movies because they play all these classic songs, things like that. What does Suicide Squad do? They have Queen in there. They have all these songs like that. It definitely followed the formula of Guardians of the Galaxy in that regard. And
also, it had a lot of characters that were all interesting in their own way. I feel like in Guardians of the Galaxy, every character didn't feel like a side character. They all felt pretty important. You obviously had your main headliner, like Chris Pratt. You had your main headliner in Will Smith. But then everybody else that surrounded him, other than maybe like Captain Boomerang, was at least halfway interesting and had maybe their own little, heroic moment in the movie.
Right.
And so that also played a little bit to Guardians of the Galaxy. And I also wondered if they really, after Guardians of the Galaxy, did then DC decide to do Suicide Squad, or was that already probably in the makes of shooting?
Oh no, I'm sure they've toyed with the idea, but I think when they saw the success of Guardians, that helped push them forward.
I also think it was something different. Marvel had not made. During our Marvel month, we talked about how shitty the villains are in the Marvel movies, and so DC said, well, we have this string of comic books, this string of stories about Suicide Squad that people really like. Let's kind of turn this into something maybe we can, at least hit big on what Marvel's been lacking, which is villains.
Oh, that's a good point too.
I feel like I don't like the villains in DC either. I mean, right now, who's your biggest, or I guess who's the
people love Harley.
Oh, well, yeah, but once again, she's a villain, but she's a protagonist in the movie. So it's not like, as far as somebody that. Well, I mean,
that's what you want though. You want a villain that you like. So I mean, let's say let's say in the Batman movie, the Jokers were Harley and Joker. There's gonna be a lot of people who don't really want Harley to get caught because they like, but I mean, that's a good villain.
Do you think this is the first time that, well, and once again, is that what it takes? It takes the villain being the good guy to then later on go into a movie where she's already going in being a fan favorite because she was played as the protagonist in a bit of the hero role? Because before then, honestly, probably the best villain was Zod of all the other guys. I mean, Lex Luthor, we'll see. I don't care too much for it. It's too early to tell, but there really hasn't been a very strong villain as far as a character that is fighting against the good guys. Even DC
for
right
what
now,
it's worth,
Zod.
You have Zod, Luthor, and Doomsday. I mean, it's not like you had a ton of people to choose from at this point. Where
Sure.
Marvel's had, dozen movies at this point.
I mean, yeah, exactly, yeah. And I mean, other than Loki, there hasn't been any that really. Yeah,
and Loki's probably the Harley Quinn of that thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's a villain, but everybody loves him. You cheer.
You love him, and you feel bad for him at times.
Right, exactly.
But then he pisses you off, and you're like, oh, fuck that guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Same thing.
Yep, absolutely. Anything else you guys didn't like about this movie that we haven't talked about?
I think, Kiser, you and I talked about this. I don't know, we did. Maybe this was me and you, Hougie, because you just saw it, Kiser. It seemed... So the story was building up this love interest between the Enchantress and Captain whatever his name is.
Flag, right? And then they call him Flag.
I thought it was Rick Flag.
Flag.
Yeah, Rick Flag. And then at the end, when he thinks she's dead, it's like a 30-second scene of him, caring. You would think after all this, this dude was willing to die for her, all this shit, and then when he thinks she's dead, he just kind of sits there for a second, and that's it. There's no real.
You lose that emotional tie or something.
Yeah, and maybe again it was a time limit thing. Maybe they just didn't want to spend a lot of time on that one scene. Maybe maybe the dude's not the greatest actor, although I didn't have a problem with him during the movie. But it just kind of, there was no emotion involved in that scene, considering the whole thing was based around this guy loving her so much that he was willing to like do all this shit for her. You know what I mean? I don't know. That like one part, that one little 30-second part bothered me a little bit.
I think the only thing that bothered me, and this is just, I know the answer, and it's a fucking movie, deal with it. But when you have like what seems like a pretty cataclysmic event going on in the country, and your best shot is Deadshot, followed by a bunch of other guys, like, where the hell is Wonder Woman? Where the hell is Batman? Like, where are they in a point where I feel like if this gets too out of hand, even they probably couldn't stop this from happening?
Well, I think it's a couple of things. One, it's not, near Gotham. It's not in Gotham. It's not in Metropolis. So, they're not right there. You don't necessarily know time frame wise where this movie takes place. It doesn't necessarily take place after.
It was confirmed. It's after Batman vs. Superman.
Who said that?
It was confirmed by Snyder. It's supposed to take place after.
It's the whole.
You're right. No, you're right. It does take place because at the beginning of the movie they have the shirts about Remember with Superman.
Yeah,
so
Remember Superman.
Superman's confirmed dead. Wonder Woman's kind of hiding at this point. I mean, you guess you could say that they're out trying to find other people. They're collecting things. Batman's off on his voyage to get Aquaman and them to join it. So it's very, I mean, it's the Marvel. You could very well like, oh, how do you have these things knowing where's the Avengers and stuff in this thing? So
yeah.
It is what it is. That didn't bother me in this one. One thing that did bother me though was why was Killer Croc a black stereotype?
Dude, it's the robots from Transformers all over again.
It just blew my mind. Like, I'm sitting here, I'm like, why is he talking like all thuggish by the end of it? And then they're like, oh, what do you want? Like, Will Smith's like, I want to talk to my daughter. And, Harley Quinn was like, oh, I want an espresso machine. Killer Croc's like, BET. And I'm like,
yeah.
For real? Like, that was just, I just feel like it was like insulting. I don't know.
The weird part is like in the cartoon and the comics and a lot of the animated movies they've made, he's more of like a down south, like a southern guy, not like from the streets. He's not a gangster, you know what I mean? Like he's from the bayou or whatever. It's like a
bayou makes sense too with the crocodile.
Yeah, because he's a crocodile. Yeah.
Do you think it's just Hollywood doing that though? Because there really wasn't any. I mean, yeah. Obviously, you have an African American, main star, but it's Will Smith. Do you really? I mean, I think Will Smith has transcended to this point.
I mean, Amanda Waller's black too.
I guess, but I do agree that he didn't need to be that way.
Let me ask you guys this, and I don't even know how I would side on this, but I thought Killer Croc looked okay. But do you think it would have been cool to see him like CGI'd a little bit or motion captured a little bit to make him look more? I feel like he looked like he couldn't move around quick.
Yes, you know he looked.
He was bulky.
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't crazy about the look, but he was such a, for one of the more known characters of that group, he was very like brushed to the side kind of thing.
Yeah, I feel like Batman could have whooped his ass easily.
Yeah.
To whereas there's been so many storylines where, he's supposed to be real. I just feel like, and I don't know if it's a money thing or maybe it would have looked shitty. I don't even know. But I'd be curious to see if they motion captured him or something and made him look a little bit more, menacing or made him like quicker. I don't know. I'm curious how that would have went over.
Yeah.
I feel like also that they had to at the end write something for him. I feel like there was nothing going on with him.
Yep.
And then they're like, well, we're going to blow up the Enchantress' brother. Well, we can always try to put this bomb underwater. Oh, Killer Croc.
Yeah, why don't you you can go swim in the water and take care of business.
Yeah, why don't you set a bomb and then let it off right in front of you and hope you survive.
Yeah, I laughed at that too. How about anything else that you guys liked about the movie as we're kind of getting near the end here that maybe we haven't discussed?
Well, I actually enjoyed it. We kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. I actually enjoyed the fact that they threw Batman in there real quick. I like the quick little. I mean, it lets you know everything's tied in, even though they did mention the whole Superman dying thing. But everything's tied in. It shows that he has a history with these characters. That way, you don't have to go into it a lot in real in depth if they're in a Batman movie. I just enjoyed the quick little shot, especially at the Joker scene.
Hougie, anything else you liked about the movie that we haven't discussed?
I mean, I like the middle credits, the credit scene at the end with it seems like she knows that he's Batman.
She does.
Okay,
oh yeah, she absolutely does. I mean, she even made the comment like, you look tired, you might not need to stay out late or work late or something like that all the time. Yeah. Basically hinting that he's out being Batman.
Okay. All right. But yeah, I agree with Haddix. I'm glad that they put Batman in there and not just like a guy in a suit and just like it's not showing the face as if Ben Affleck was too busy to play the role. He actually did have lines and made a point that he was not a main focus of the movie. But I think this was a step in the right direction with building characters. I think they did a decent job. I think they I think the plot and everything needed more time. But I did legitimately have at least some sort of connection of rooting for pretty much everybody on the Suicide Squad. And like I said, especially El Diablo, I think they really hit his story well. And maybe they did, knowing that he's going to die. And if they were going to make a second movie, then this is the only chance you're going to have of really hitting his origin story. Because everybody else, that's the thing I actually was going to ask. Is a second movie going to happen? Do you think it's going to happen? Should it happen?
Not that I've heard. And I don't know if I think they need to have a second movie, honestly. I think it might be too much of the same, and I'd rather see Harley Quinn in another movie. I'm not even crazy about even seeing Deadshot in another movie. Maybe, yeah, that's about it. I don't know. None of the other characters really interested me enough to see any more of them.
So you see this is more of a movie that's a filler while Batman is recruiting the Justice League, who would then ultimately replace whatever the Suicide Squad would ever, been responsible for.
Yeah, I think it's a filler. I think it's a fun experiment. I think it developed. I think for the biggest thing is it introduces some of these characters who will be seen elsewhere, especially Amanda Waller, which I think was a great introduction for her.
Yeah. I think that was the main part of this movie, was to introduce Amanda Waller. She's very, very big in the universe.
Literally.
Oh. Don't get him started, dude. Don't get him started. For me, I thought it was a fun movie. Even, I don't know, some of it I wasn't necessarily crazy about. They definitely tried some different things, especially when they kind of showed everybody's rap sheets when they were introducing them at the beginning, and it had like different fonts, and it was like, Killer Croc, like, wanted for killing these many men, also likes Pop-Tarts or something. Like, they were trying to make it funny there by throwing that stuff in there, which might have been a little too much. But I remember sitting there watching it, and everybody gets their little, quick backstory or something, like introduction. And then they show Slipknot, who's played by, I can't think of the guy's name, the guy who was in Wind Talkers and Joe Dirt and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I don't remember seeing his rap sheet.
That's Adam Beach.
Adam Beach, there we go, yeah. I wanted to call him Tom Beach for some reason. And
classic Tom.
Then all of a sudden he just gets killed. I'm like, oh, that's why they didn't show his backstory.
The moment they even said he was like, oh, I'm like, who's this guy? He's like, oh, he climbs buildings. I'm like, well, that guy's not gonna live long. And I also thought Captain Boomerang was gonna be gone in a very, very quick.
Well, if he is gone, he'll come right back.
Oh, because it's a boomerang.
And that's the podcast.
Right. And that is how you end a podcast.
Well, I'm not. Look, I have one last question. Damn it!
That's how you kill the ending of the podcast.
Until I ruin it. Until I ruin the whole vibe. No, what I was going to ask was, and I felt like it would be a good thing to ask when we do like reviews for movies, for people who haven't gone and haven't seen it yet, and that we've ruined it completely for them by now.
I mean, let's be honest. We ruined this movie for anybody who has or hasn't seen it at this point. We ruined everything.
Would you put this movie as a, like, go see in theaters, rent it, or wait till it's on Netflix? Like, where would you rate this movie if you told somebody it's worth going to see in a film? It's like, if it's out, you can rent it on Redbox or it's on demand, or wait till it's on like a free thing, like your Netflix or Amazon Prime account.
I think it depends on your interest in the DC universe. If you are interested whatsoever in the DC universe, it is a rental. If you don't care but you just want to watch a fun Will Smith movie, wait till it shows up on television or Netflix or something to that effect.
Like FX or something like that.
Right.
Haddix, you feel the same way?
Yeah, probably. I think I put a little bit higher than Kiser, but yeah, roughly the same.
You're a little more biased about that too, though. You're a DC boner.
Yeah.
And I'm the same way.
You have a DC boner?
Movies. I have a little bit. I have a halfy DC halfy. If I had known, if it wasn't the fact that I knew that for our little side job here that we were probably going to ultimately talk about this movie, I probably would have waited until it was on something, I guess, more at home.
Yeah, it was nice to watch at home, even with Spanish subtitles. So there
it's
you
peeling back
have
more
it.
of the curtain for us. Was it like somebody with like their iPhone just like recording it in the theater?
I cannot confirm or deny anything, as Mr. Dent here is eyeing me down with his good eye. So.
He's over there just like putting his like hands under his chin like, let's wrap this up.
So we will wrap this up. If you have seen the movie, feel free to let us know on Facebook or Twitter your thoughts, what you did like, what you didn't like. If you haven't seen it, go out and see it or don't. Don't forget to go to pseudonerdpod.com to find all of our social media accounts. Follow us on the Instagram. Go leave us that review on iTunes. We'll move up those charts, because I'm sure we are way up there as it is already. So, your little bump always helps. Next week, we are going to discuss the future of the DC movie universe, kind of talk about what movies are going to be coming out, where we think they're going to take the story, and just general predictions, thoughts, and maybe hopeful ideas of what they should do. From the supposed birthplace of post-crisis on Infinite Earth's Batgirl, who as Oracle was an interim member of the Suicide Squad in an issue of Suicide Squad in 1989, to the home of Suicide Squad 2001 interim member Mongol from the Adventures of Superman issue 594, I am Josh Kiser, he is Josh Haddix, and he is Kyle Hoagland, and we will see you guys next time.
That was some good research. Have a good Friday.
Tip of the cap, quoting Haddix. See ya.